So finally, we are at the top 10 of this list. And at number 10, we have Fear. Now, I've played some of Fear on my J-Man Games channel, and you should check that out. It's a pretty good playthrough, and still yet to add to it. But the reason why Fear is so high up on this list, it's a really old game, and it was one of the very first to come out around the time of the release of the 360, and I got it really late because I think I got my 360 about maybe a year or 2 years after its release, and Fear was one of the very first horror games I got. I think it was the first horror game I ever played, like full-fledged horror game. And it scared the crap out of me. It was probably one of the scariest experiences I've ever had playing a game, and I don't think I've had a scarier one since. And the reason for that is the way it scared you. It didn't use monsters or these sort of big monsters that can hurt you or any sort of thing. It was the fact that it was a little girl ghost. And to me, that is frightening, because I hate any sort of horror game that has little girl ghosts in it, because they're like the scariest thing. I know it's like seems stupid. It's like, God, you're scared by a little girl. It's just like, but they're creepy. They're like the most incredibly creepy things that could ever happen. It's just so weird, and that's what scared me the most about Fear, is that you'd just be walking along, and suddenly she'd come out of nowhere, gliding at you like some creepy little mask-faced girl, because her face was horrible. It was like this sort of weird mask of just darkness, and basically it looked like Michael Jackson after he had his face operation or whatever. And it was incredibly scary. It had a great atmosphere for horror. You know, you'd walk through these places and you'd see it was all dark, and then the dread, there was bodies, that you'd see pools of blood, piles of bodies, just destruction everywhere. And it was just horrible. It was psychological, it was scary, it was downright horror. And that sort of was a contrast to the gameplay, because most of the gameplay was quite run and gun, because the horror was quite a different side of it. I think it was only near the end where the horror and gameplay actually coincided and worked at the same time, because there was never a point where I'd be fighting all the clones, the replica soldiers, and then she'd be there like scaring me at the same time. That wouldn't happen. And that was the thing. They sort of separated the horror from the gameplay, so you know when something horrible was about to happen, because you'd be shooting up lots of guys, and suddenly you'd enter an area where there was no soldiers whatsoever. And it did work, actually. It wasn't predictable in a sense that you'd know when the scare was about to come, but it was predictable when you knew you were around a place that would scare you. Instead of, you know, a place where you just go, ah, I knew that was coming, didn't scare me at all. Because even to this day, and I know where certain scares are, I get scared beyond belief. I think one time I had to actually stop playing it, go downstairs and discuss it with my parents. I think I just had to talk to my mum for a bit, saying, oh, I just got scared of this game, oh jeez, oh help me. And then I eventually went back up and played it. But that was the impact Fear had on me, and being one of my very first horror games, it kind of has a special place in this sort of video game hall of fame for me. And it's the same with pretty much many games where it's my first in a line of such games. And I'm now a huge horror fan, as with, I think, Amnesia, that's on this channel, and several more that will come in the future. But Fear really, you know, this is going to sound corny, but put the fear into me. And I feel that, putting the gameplay aside, the horror aspect of this game puts it at this number. Because the gameplay can come in and that helps it along, but the horror is the main part of this game. But moving on to the gameplay, it was one of those generic sort of, you go in, you shoot the guys up. But the thing that Fear had And I'm not sure if... No, this Max Payne came before this, right? So, Fear had that slow-mo effect. You know, if any of you have played Max Payne or any other games that include slow-mo, it had a slow-mo effect. The person you played as was an unnamed Fear operative called Point Man. And, that's not his real name, he's just like... It's like Point Man, as in he's the guy who goes in first or something, or leads the way. And, he had this sort of ability to slow down time. He doesn't really slow it down himself. He's not like Hero from Heroes, but he's like he's slow. He's got like it's like Neo, that kind of ability where he's got like these super abilities to like do things really quickly and stuff. So like he can dodge bullets pretty much. But he's not really slowing down time, he's just got really good reflexes. And that really played a part in the game, so like you could slow down time, take out about 3 soldiers, maybe more, and it really helped you in terms of gameplay, because I think without the slow-mo effect this game would be just hard to play. Because there were certain parts where the slow-mo was required a lot. I think it was against the mechs. So when it came to fighting the mechs, you had to sort of use the slow-mo to dodge their rockets and shoot them up with the same sort of rockets. And the slow-mo was heavily implicated into this game, and I enjoyed it. It was even fun to go into slow-mo and then do these sort of karate moves, because you could do karate moves as well, which was pretty cool. And especially in first person, it just seemed really weird to see a guy sort of jump up and then his leg to swing out of nowhere and kick a guy in the face. It was really cool how they managed to put these sort of like fully modelled animations into a first person game, and I think it was one of the very first. Along with some others I can't name, but I'm pretty sure there was others that used the full model of a player instead of just a camera, essentially. But apart from that, the gameplay was pretty generic. You had some guns that you could pick up, some that were special, some that were just normal shooting guns like assault rifles and pistols. There was a slight little stealth mechanic. You could sneak up on people and then hit them in the back and they'd die after like just one. And level design, I'd say, was alright. Some of the places were horrific, as I was saying, it helped with the horror aspect, and some of them where you had your firefights were pretty much the same. They were sort of just like little battlegrounds. But I guess they all made sense for what they were trying to achieve. But apart from all of that, Fear has a very special place in my gaming, experience. So therefore I am placing it at number 10 on this list.